Build the house up very high, point the chimney to the sky, put the roof on, lay the floor, open wide the big front door. Build the house up very high, point the chimney to the sky, put the roof on, lay the floor, open wide the big front door. Pa-pa-doo-pa-pa-da-pa, 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 pa-pa-doo-pa-pa-da-pa. Build the house up very high, point the chimney to the sky, put the roof on, lay the floor, open wide the big front door. Build the house up very high, point the chimney to the sky, put the roof on, lay the floor, open wide the big front door. Pa-pa-doo-pa-pa-da-pa, 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 pa-pa-doo-pa-pa-da-pa. Build the house up very high, point the chimney to the sky, put the roof on, lay the floor, open wide the big front door.
Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I'm sure you guys are getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day. But remember, before you do that, this week, Chinese people are getting ready to celebrate the Chinese New Year. So that means in Asia and around the world, Chinese families are getting ready to get together and have a really fun celebration. So if you know someone who's Chinese, or if you have a friend who's Chinese, do not forget to greet them Happy New Year this week.
Happy Chinese New Year. There's so much to see and do. Say goodbye to the old and welcome in the new.
Last week, we learned about one form of art which is called painting. And we discovered that an artist or a painter learns about the color wheel so that he knows exactly what colors to use in his painting. Today, we are going to learn about another form of art which is called architecture. Architecture is all about the design of structures or buildings like houses, churches, or even office buildings. Some architecture designs are small, like a garage, and some designs are large, like a whole city. Today, we are going to learn more about architecture. Who is an architect?
An architect is what I am. I may be a woman or man. I design buildings for you, with many stories or just a few. Cottages, hospitals and schools, offices, hotels and pools, gardens, theaters, stadiums too, skyscrapers touching the sky so blue. I study my clients' needs, only then do I proceed. Efficiently I use space and light and ventilation at the site. With different textures and colors and materials I do wonders. I renew buildings that are old, that to you are precious as gold. For years I study architecture. I practice planning and drawing structures with engineers decide their width and height, whether they should be painted blue or white. The placing of skylights and doors, the number and size of windows. Splendid churches with their steeples, Taj Mahal also loved by people, castles and monasteries too, that are sure to astonish you. Burj Al Arab is the world's pride, with wonder will you wide-eyed. All these great buildings that you see have indeed been designed by me.
It's story time! Iggy Peck Architect by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but diapers and glue. "Good gracious, Ignatius," his mother exclaimed. "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those diapers weren't clean. "Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks." But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clods to build the Great Sphinx. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples, and temples from modeling clay. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. Dear Ig had it made until 2nd grade, when his teacher was Miss Lila Greer. On the very first day, she had this to say: "We do not talk of buildings in here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings ancient or new." She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. That might seem severe, but she was sincere. For when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator eating cheese with a French circus troupe. After that day, it's quite safe to say, she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that, above all, one ought to avoid them. No ifs, ands, or buts. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear. He sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. "You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear down that castle right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal Howe?" "No, ma'am," Iggy said. He lowered his head and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now 2nd grade was a bore. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed and Miss Lila Greer started to scream. "We're trapped here, oh my! Alas, kids, goodbye!" Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. She dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound. Luckily fainted, not dead. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was off hatching a plan, which started with Miss Lila's shoe. Soon each lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. And when she came to, Miss Lila Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces. And on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge dangling from shoestring suspension. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now every week at Blue River Creek Elementary in 2nd grade, all the school kids can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker, in t-shirt and sneakers, talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, is the young guy who builds towers from pie, that brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. An architect becomes very famous when one of his designs become a part of a cityscape. What is a cityscape? A cityscape is a picture of a city. Some cities are more famous than the others because of the wonderful building designs that are in them. Today, we are going to make our very own cityscape as our art project. Are you ready? Then let's begin. It's art time! The materials that we're going to need for this art project are a piece of black paper, different colored pieces of paper, yellow paint, cotton buds, and an elastic. You are going to design a city at night. Using your colored paper, you can cut whatever shape that you wish to have in your city. Different shapes cut out as my buildings, it's time to glue them on my night sky. Bud, I'm going to put some stars on my night sky. Put together 4 cotton buds and tie them with an elastic. Now you are ready to make some bright windows. With our cityscape at night. It was so much fun to play the role of an architect. I'm sure your cityscapes are all spectacular. I cannot wait to see them. The next time I see you, we will be talking about some famous landmarks that very good architects have done over the years. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.